Council, check your microphones. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Test. It works.
Call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you would, call the roll, please.
Mr. Buckner.
Here.
Reverend Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Hood.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Mr. Mayo.
Here.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mr. Saunders.
Here.
Here.
Little.
We have an invocation by Councilman Campbell, followed by a pledge of allegiance. As everyone would please stand.
We all bow our heads for these. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for your goodness and your mercy that you allowed us to partake of our meeting and concerns of our community tonight. We pray for your wisdom and your understanding that we can make the best decision to affect our people that we can serve and be most efficient. Father, we pray for the safety of our community. We pray for our young people, our education department, and all of our city employees that work so faithfully to serve our community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to say good evening to those of you who are here in the chambers and those of you who are viewing us from River City TV or in your homes. Councilman Mayo, while I will not start this meeting without giving you an opportunity to thank the many, many people who attended a wonderful event today. Councilman Mayo.
Thank you, man.
Turn your microphone on, please. Today we had a wonderful event. Is it on?
Yes, it is. Yes, it was. And I tell you, I want to thank all citizens and, of course, all of the vendors and all the collaboration of employers and resources that came out to make this a success. This is what Dan was all about. We've had the count that I've gotten was over 300 that turned out for over 1,408 jobs. This is remarkable. It's not about me. It's not about anyone else, but when we come together, this is what happens, and it's happening for the good. And so much excitement. I couldn't take it all in because I'm all about the work, but I can tell through hearing and calls and so forth, it's very appreciative, and I counted a blessing, and it was great.
Well, DCC and all of the partners did an amazing job. I was able to witness a young lady today, a mother of 4 children and a cat, and I was able to witness her get a job right on the spot. Councilman Campbell, Councilman Buckner, you were there. Anything you want to add?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I was very elated and excited to see how the people came out for the event, all of the vendors. You could just feel the excitement in the air. It's never been done of that magnitude. I just want to commend you, Barry, and DCC and other agencies to come together. And that's what Danville is all about, working together and moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Buckner, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would. Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Mayo, thank you for the forethought of organizing this thing. Thank you for pulling together the resources that you have. Thank you to all the companies that were there. There were every company that you could imagine in Danville was there today. It was very well represented. It was very well attended as well. Out of those 1,405 jobs, I hope tomorrow when Barry Mayo calls us, he tells us there's not one left. I hope everybody that went there gets placement today because it really was an outstanding community outreach, and it was phenomenal.
Great job. Thank you, Councilman Mayo.
And I would say this, Mayor, and all council members, thank you all who could attend. I know a lot of you couldn't because you had so much going on. But to all the citizens and all who could come and could not, and the ones that could not, it doesn't stop. We have still contacts with employers and resources that you need. So if you do, please reach out to me. Reach out to me at Danville Community College. We can still connect you with whatever your need is. It's all about the connection. Employers are still trying to find workers, and resources are still trying to find the help that you need. So if you are in need, no matter what your circumstances are, get in touch with us. This still goes on.
Great job. We have a presentation from Ms. Quick. Will you come forward, please? Ms. Quick from the Goodwill of the Valleys. We want to welcome you to council tonight and say good evening to you, and you can speak directly into that microphone. Good evening.
So good evening. I am not Ms. Quick, I will say to begin with. She was not here this evening, but I will be giving the presentation. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Please give us your name so I won't be calling you Ms. Quick all night.
Yes, sir. Stephanie Her.
'Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Stephanie.
Her, like Ben Hur.
Just in case, since they're putting that together, you got it? Are you ready? Good.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to wish you all a good evening and thank you all, Mayor Jones and council members, for allowing me to be here this evening and give my presentation. My name is Stephanie Her, and I am the Vice President of Mission Services for Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. Tonight, I am excited to tell you how we have embarked on a reimagined future, provide an overview of our strategic direction, and the impact Goodwill is making in our community. Before we talk about where we're headed, we need to talk a bit about where we've been. In 2021, Goodwill Industries of the Valley celebrated our 90th anniversary, 90 years of serving communities, families, and individuals. But oh, how the last few years have been during the pandemic. We learned how to deliver services in a hybrid model. Is it not changing?
I think the staff is working on it. If you
Okay.
can continue, you can continue.
Okay.
They're working on it.
For several programs, we've continued to offer virtual options. That's where we are right there. The benefits of proven relationships. Throughout the past 2 years, we truly reaped the benefits of community partners and partnerships. We learned how to work in a hybrid model and the benefits of an agile workforce. Whether they were keen or reluctant, our team members proved to be ever so connected to our mission that they never missed a beat. And that's the key, in fact. Our team members never missed a beat. So much so that it turned out to be a very productive year. In 2021, we served over 38,000 individuals through our various training programs and foundational services. Over 2,900 credentials were earned by the individuals that we were served. Over 650 individuals were placed into competitive employment. Okay, thank you. In 2021, we made a concerted effort to deepen connections through our service area. We participated in local events along with attending many chamber events. In March of last year, we welcomed our new CEO, Richmond Vincent. Richmond is well established within the Goodwill movement. Prior to joining us, he was the CEO of Goodwill of South Mississippi, headquartered in Gulfport, and had previously served as a member of the executive team at Goodwill of Central and Northern Arizona in Phoenix for more than 6 years. During this leadership transition, we felt it important to focus on the future by looking at our history. At the 90-year mark, we decided to go back to our roots and re-examine the why behind what we do. Our founder, Edgar J. Helms, began Goodwill with a vision of not charity, but chance. He believed in giving people the opportunity to work as a path to both financial and personal independence. Such independence was key to combating poverty by providing a hand up, not a handout. Using our rich history as a cornerstone, we then began to explore a series of questions. How can Goodwill Industries of the Valleys make a difference in the next 90 years, and what role will we play? How can we make an even greater impact on the communities, families, and individuals we serve? To answer those questions, we embarked upon a rigorous planning period spanning more than 6 months and resulted in the robust 5-year strategic plan. In August, the results of internal and external surveys were reviewed by the executive team, board members, and community partners throughout our territory. Those present provided feedback on our vision, mission, and purpose statements and began to draft high-level strategic goals. The vision statement stakeholders were inspired by the most was the very same vision our founder, Edgar J. Helms, was inspired by when he first started Goodwill in Boston in 1902, to eliminate poverty. Yes, in defining our why, we went right back to our roots. While we know we cannot accomplish this single-handedly, nor necessarily in our lifetime, we believe our work, all efforts, should be directed toward decreasing poverty among those we serve and employ. Supporting this vision, the revamped mission statement conveys 3 powerful statements. They are empowering individuals, strengthening families, and inspiring communities. Our vision to eliminate poverty is supported by data within our territory. Over 215,000 individuals in the Goodwill Industries of the Valleys service area live in poverty. Specific populations such as minorities, Hispanic, Latino families, working individuals with a disability, and single mothers are also experiencing very high poverty rates. Several counties and cities in our service territory have poverty rates of over 20%. And with our very own employees live in these areas. Clearly, poverty is a pervasive issue throughout our footprint and one we are compelled to address. Goodwill team members also weighed in on initial surveys and provided input. Our employees indicated they valued a company committed to community engagement, excellence, diversity, and learning, while also providing opportunity for growth. These traits also arose in external survey results. As we began to define strategic priorities over the next few months, we knew we had to ensure the internal and external shifts were aligned. So let's take a look at the plan. Our vision to eliminate poverty in Virginia is what fuels us. As you will see, all 4 strategic goals align our resources to meet community needs. They focus on the areas of operational strengthening, people strengthening, greater community impact, and improved collaboration. Recognizing we can only address higher level needs when basic ones are fulfilled, we decided that investment in operations is key. The 3 primary objectives in this goal include strengthening our infrastructure, strengthening internal processes, and developing a self-funding model to sustain mission impact. For this goal, as with each of the others, we identified key performance indicators or measurements for success. One such infrastructure goal is to upgrade our technology. Also, the goal to become more self-funded allows us to make better, more customized service decisions for the residents in our expansive territory. These measures, as well as the full plan, are available on our website. At the heart of our strategic plan are our team members. They are the very individuals we aim to empower, part of the families we aim to strengthen, and members of the communities we want to inspire. We recognize the need to improve the financial health and stability of our own team members, particularly those in our stores and our business service area. We also work to provide better benefits at a lower cost, invest in the development of our team members, and provide coaches and supports to help them overcome obstacles and advance within Goodwill. And finally, we are taking steps to move all team members to a living wage or greater. So while the first 2 goals are internally focused, the last 2 are external. Data tells us individuals thrive when the entire family thrives. Goodwill is implementing a multi-generational service delivery model to help everyone from expectant mothers to older workers. This does not mean we will deliver every service, but we will concern ourselves with everyone within a family system so that we can connect them with the resources necessary for each person's success. In addition, we must meet the needs of our businesses by providing job skills and training for those in-demand occupations in our service area, like Good Care, our healthcare training program. Good Care provides a talent pipeline for one of the top 5 fastest-growing occupations in the region. In fact, through 2023, healthcare employers will make up 30% of the top 10 fastest-growing industries in our area. Our Business Service Division also provides job training and employment opportunities. Business Services is the B2B segment of Goodwill, providing outsourcing options for local manufacturing and light industrial business, another key industry in our territory. Our Business Services Division also features a custodial and floor care division supplying on-site cleaning services for businesses. Through these services, we are able to train and match individuals, many with barriers to employment, with jobs where they will be successful. This approach is good for economic development and those we serve. We heard from many of our communities the need for more high-impact youth services, and we will strive to increase both the number of youth we serve and the impact of those services. Right here in the Danville region, we employ 75 employees and have 4 stores, in addition to a variety of adult services including Good Care Healthcare Training, Good Start Reentry Services, and the Danville Career Center. We also provide youth mentoring, pre-employment training for youth, and a summer youth employment program in collaboration with the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. We are also very excited to share that we began offering day support services this March. This area is ripe with potential for expansion. In fact, expansion is the name of the game when it comes to youth programming. It is our goal to partner with providers throughout our territory to address the needs of young people and break the cycle of generational poverty. The impact of programs and services will be measured by a new family health and self-sufficiency rating we've created. This rating includes weighted measures for factors such as housing and food security, safe and affordable child care, and transportation, as well as the more typical measurements of average wage, percentage of job placements, and career advancement. And finally, as mentioned before, we will also work to make sure our own team members have economic security. Currently, Goodwill team members in entry-level positions such as retail, production, and custodial start off at more than 18% above minimum wage in the state of Virginia. We plan to continue that trend to ensure that our own members earn a sustainable living and progressive wages. And now, our last goal. A consistent theme in the feedback we received from stakeholders was the need for us to deepen our engagement in the areas we serve, the desire for Goodwill to develop strategic relationships and build resource capacity, most importantly, to listen and gather information on emerging needs, interests, and priorities of community members, as well as the business and community leaders throughout our territory. Going forward, we will actively seek opportunities to collaborate with stakeholders who are aligned with our vision. We will be intentional in those communities that need a convener in order to deliver coordinated services. Our objective is to lead that coordinated service delivery model in at least one community of need in the next 5 years, in a targeted, measurable effort to move the poverty needle. All of which takes us back full circle to our vision, eliminating and certainly reducing the poverty rate in our service area. To tie it all together, what does our new plan mean for the communities we serve? It means collaboration, deeply engaging with communities and addressing issues that impact poverty. It means leveraging resources and expanding opportunities for our team members and those we serve. To end, the overarching theme is delivering the right resources to fill service gaps and increase opportunities for all. So that's the plan. Whoops, jumped ahead. But before we end, we decided our fresh approach and renewed resource needed to be visible, and it was time for a facelift. If you haven't already, we invite you to log on to our new website where you will see all of this information and more. Our new way forward needed a fresh look, which is reflected in the images on the website and in current advertising. You will begin to see these images shown here of our very own employees, shoppers, and supporters in our training centers as well. To end, we think this video sums up who we are and where we're headed. thank you again for having me here this evening. We look forward to partnering with you in the months and years to come. We are inspired by all the opportunities to make a difference in the communities we serve, and we certainly hope you are too. Before I close, we also ask you for your help. We ask that you donate and shop and help to get the word out. Your donations truly help fuel Goodwill's mission and help our communities. Lastly, we appreciate your time and attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
First, we want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. Excellent presentation. Any questions? I don't have a question, but a comment. You talked about your youth services. Is there any way possible you can get the city manager's card off that podium and email us some of your youth services and youth plans that could collaborate with what we're doing? Again, we want to thank you so much for being here, and thank you on Goodwill for all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 50 years of unlocking potential. Danville, Pennsylvania Community Services Board, Lori Ains, Secretary. Good evening to you.
Mayor Jones, members of City Council, Mr. Larking, and staff, I am Lori Ains, member and current secretary of Danville, Pennsylvania Community Services Board of Directors. It is with great pleasure tonight that I present to you DPCS's annual report for fiscal year 2022. This year's theme is 50 Years of Unlocking Potential. In the early months of 1972, a group of concerned citizens worked together as the Chapter 10 Board to prepare this community for the many individuals returning to the area from institutional care in state facilities. In April 1972, the City of Danville and Pennsylvania County jointly resolved to create the Chapter 10 Board for this part of Virginia. The first official meeting of this new board, now known as Danville, Pennsylvania Community Services, was on October 26, 1972. Last week, DPCS celebrated its 50th year with a birthday party. Gift bags from that event are before you tonight as a thank you for your continued support of the agency. In the first few years of the agency's existence, operations were simply administrative, contractual, and organizational activities. There were no employees, and services were mostly contracted. But by the late 1970s and early 80s, the agency achieved sustained growth and began providing multiple services to hundreds of individuals. The name of the agency changed several times in these 50 years, finally landing on the all-inclusive Danville, Pennsylvania Community Services in 1996. Since those early years, the agency has strived to offer an ever-expanding array of quality behavioral health, intellectual disability, and prevention services to meet the needs of our community. Consistency in community leadership has helped facilitate that growth, beginning with the wisdom of the City Council and the Board of Supervisors, creating one organization in 1972 to efficiently serve the entire region. In these last 50 years, the local governments have appointed hundreds of volunteer board members who have guided DPCS as the political subdivision and the gatekeeper of publicly funded services. Looking beyond the top level of local elected officials and appointed board members, agency operations would not be possible without the thousands of employees who have worked at the agency since the 1970s. Starting with less than a handful of staff in those early years, DPCS has grown to a workforce of 300 compassionate professionals today. Having been a board member for 5 years, I can speak firsthand about DPCS's good work for some of our most vulnerable citizens. DPCS is a crown jewel for local behavioral health and developmental services and prevention services for early intervention, making a difference in our community for those in need. Throughout our annual report, you will see historical references from operations as the community system of care has expanded, grown, and enhanced the services offered to the community. This is done in comparison to this, our 50th year of operations. You will also see quotes from staff, both current and retired, addressing their time at DPCS as they experienced and facilitated the growth of the agency. These historical facts about people, services, and staff convey how deeply rooted DPCS services are for everyone residing in our community. and they provide an opportunity for the Board of Directors to recognize an outstanding team of service providers and support staff that have served thousands and thousands of people in the last 50 years. This report before you tonight is an opportunity to highlight for City Council and local citizens all the activities of DPCS in and for our community. DPCS has provided more than 143,000 distinct units of service last year, reaching more than 14,000 individuals in our clinical treatment and prevention outreach programs and campaigns. Currently operating approximately 50 unique programs, DPCS adapts and changes services across its developmental services, behavioral health, and prevention services divisions for adults and children in order to meet community needs from the past, today, and tomorrow. On behalf of our 15-member volunteer board of directors and agency staff, it is a privilege to share this 50th anniversary report and information with you all tonight. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for appointing 7 citizens from the city to the DPCS Board of Directors. It is our honor and pleasure to serve the community in this capacity. We appreciate your confidence and your ongoing support. Jim is here with me tonight to assist with any questions you may have.
Again, I want to thank you all so much for 50 years, and thank you for the gifts. Council members love gifts, so you came the right way. Jim, anything you want to add?
No, we appreciate your continued support of our operations. We couldn't do it without our partnerships.
Did you bring any board members with you tonight? Any board members? Well, thank you all so much for all that you're doing. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you for the gifts again. Under communications, anyone who desires to speak on any item that's not on the agenda may come forward at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, and good evening to you, ma'am.
My name is Dr. Connie Fletcher, 145 Holbrook Avenue, Danville, Virginia. I'm here on behalf of the Danville Concert Association. I'm one of the co-presidents this year until January, as is Courtney Dodson. We want to remind all of you that the Concert Association is the oldest organization of musical and performing arts in our city, some 60-plus years old. This year we have an exciting 4-season program. We hope and urge you to get your own tickets and come if you haven't already, and to urge friends and family members to come as well. And I'd like to leave some brochures right here, if that's all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. Any questions? Again, thank you so much. We're still in communications. Anyone desire to speak on any item that's not on the agenda may come forward at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record. Good evening to you, ladies. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Felicia Height Venable, and I'm here with Melvina Hairston. I am one of the captains of the George Washington Danville 1985 state championship team here in the Danville area. I come before the City Council in reference to a concern that is 37 years old. In the accolade of us winning a Division III AAA state championship for the state of Virginia at George Washington High School, we were never recognized to be given state championship rings. I have witnessed and seen several different athletic programs at the George Washington Danville High School program that reigned with state championships, and these athletes were recognized and honored for their achievement and the accomplishment that they did. So I come before you today in representation of the 20 members of my team, my head coach, Linda Burns, 3 statisticians, and 16 members of our team that we would really like the City Council to look further into the situation of us receiving our due reward and acknowledgement and achievement for such an accomplishment.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm wondering, can you all still slam dunk on Councilman Mayo over there? But city manager is right there beside you. What I'm going to ask him to do, his card is on the podium there.
Okay.
And I'm sure he's going to network with our superintendent,
Okay.
Dr. Angela Harrison, and I'm sure he'll work together, get his card, stay in contact with him, and we'll see what happens. Appreciate everything you all done, and congratulations, Dr. Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, isn't the school system the one that usually awards those rings?
Was our understanding, and at that time, the superintendent, Mr. Truitt, that we would have been and we were supposed to be, but there was something in the disconnect of that achievement being done.
I can understand what Dr. Miller probably, if we look back into the history, that was an appointed school board by council. Councilman Vogel.
Yeah, I just want to say that, we can't go back in time and fix what was done, but I know this council has found ways either directly or to, as the mayor said, through networking to try and fix situations that are long overdue of being fixed. And so I'm hoping that this situation can also be resolved. Y'all deserve to be recognized and deserve to get your due, as you said, like any other championship team. So
I think you need to recognize too, you might go to the school board. Have you gone to them yet?
We've done that before.
And that, no?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Vogel, back to you.
well, I just want to say again, I as an individual, I can't promise you anything, but I will tell you that we will try to get this straight one way or another.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Tom.
Councilman Mayo.
I can remember that, ladies. Year right after, and y'all a dynamite team. And every time we over there, we look at that banner, and it hadn't been accomplished till even today. So looking back on 37 years, I understand the feeling right here, and yeah, we will look into that. We will.
Councilman Hood.
Well, if we could, in the process, if we could give them a round of applause for their accomplishment. That'd be good. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm still under communications. Anyone desire to speak on any item that's not on the agenda may come forward this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for allowing us to be here. My name is Cynthia Jones, and my business name is Jones Enterprise, and I have my partner here. Her name is
Tracy Canty.
And we both are from Danville, Virginia. Again, we thank you, Mayor, for allowing us to be here. We greet you all, and we thank you all for your listening ear. The reason we're here today, I'm just going to give you a little brief background of who I am. Very brief. I'm a mental health facilitator for the NAMI, and that means the National American Awareness of Mental Illness. Also, I have street ministry. I'm an advocate for domestic violence. And to keep me connected to my older community, I've now become a healthcare provider. And what we would like to do is just give you a briefing of some of the things that we would like to see done in the homeless community. I went away for a few years and I lived out of state, and I met some wonderful people. That city just received me. The mayor, I got a chance to meet the mayor, and they received me within 1 month. And unfortunately, my parents both went down at the same time, health-wise, and brought me back to Danville, where I'm a native of Danville. And since I've been back, I've been highly disturbed. One night, me and my partner, we went out to eat, and it was a very cold, wintry night. And as we stopped to get some gas, there were 2 homeless people. We didn't know they were homeless at first. And the young lady, she was outside and she was wrapped up and bundled up in a coat. And the gentleman, he went in and got a honey bun and a drink, just 1 honey bun and 1 drink. And so me and my partner, we was just talking, and when we was getting ready to leave, the gentleman asked me for $1. So I was like, well, sir, if it's anything you need, I'll be more than welcome to go back in the store with you and purchase the item. And so he was like, well, that's okay, I'm just homeless and we just trying to find somewhere to stay. And so I looked to my partner without her permission. I told the people, get in the car. I was riding with her. So I was like, get in the car. She was like, what's happening? I was like, they're getting in the car. And so the young lady was kind of hesitant. She was like, you sure? I was like, get in the car. So they got in the car, and I said, where do y'all need to go? And they said, well, we're sleeping out of our vehicle. And I was disturbed, and so I invited them to get in the car and also to purchase a room for them to stay the night. Now, I knew it would not fix the situation, but I did know it would give them some release for the situation, to give them opportunity to think about what the next move would be. So with that being said, they was very modest, said they could not do that, and that they would be okay. I understand sometimes it's an embarrassment when you're in that situation. I know it's embarrassing. And so we made it our business to become a team to go out at 12 o'clock at night and look for them. And we've been out looking for them at night, and when we see them, we give them, we linked up with some churches that's willing to give us blankets, coats, shoes, anything that would help them. And so that's what we do. We just go out and look for them, and we just give them the items that they need when they need it. So if there's anybody, since I've been back in the city, if there's anybody that would like to talk to us later on about how we can network with you, or we can network together to make this issue a better issue for them. And that's my concern tonight. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Cynthia Jones. My business name is Jones Enterprise. I do have an entertainment business, which is I am a biker, and I see one of my bike members that we ride bikes together, and we do have events. And I would like to also let him know, thank you, former Mayor Saunders, for supporting my vision. Thank you.
Well, first, I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for what you're doing in the community. On that podium is one of the city manager's card. Recently, we put together a committee of persons in our community to help out with the homeless, and you may want to get with the city manager so he can tie you all into that. And again, thank you all so much for what you do in our community.
Yes,
thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
We're still on the communications. Anyone desire to speak on any item that's not on the agenda may come forward at this time. Anyone desire to speak on any item that's not on the agenda may come forward at this time. Under minute meetings, council, what's your pleasure? Councilman Buckner.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call a roll, please.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
So just in case you know, if you're concerned about Councilman Campbell, he had to run to his other job for a situation there. Everything is okay. He just had to go to the other job. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Appointments Committee, comprised of Reverend Campbell and Councilman Mayo and myself, have met, and we'd like to make the following recommendations for boards and commissions. A resolution reappointing Jermaine Parker to the Danville Redevelopment and Housing Authority. A resolution reappointing Patricia Danville to the Danville Redevelopment Housing Authority. A resolution reappointing John Ransom to the River District Design Commission. A resolution appointing Pierre Jones to the Planning Commission to fill an unexpired term. And a resolution reappointing Kimberly Walker to the West Piedmont Planning District Commission. And understand that at least one of these members is here tonight. If we could recognize you.
All right. Anyone here for the boards and commissions?
Nominees?
None are here,
Okay.
Dr. Miller. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Reverend Campbell? Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders? Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Back to you, Dr. Miller. Item A.
Item A. This is an ordinance to designate the Wednesday Club as being exempt from local real and personal property tax. And I would like to make a motion to table this for now.
Postpone or table?
Postpone.
Repeat the motion again.
Ordinance to designate the Wednesday Club as being exempt from local, real, and personal property taxation. Postpone, we felt we needed further information in a work session, as did the sponsor of this resolution.
There's a motion to postpone, second by Councilman Vogler. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders? Aye. Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle? Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Under I, consideration of grant of special use permit at 3090 North Main Street. I open the public hearing. Anyone desire to speak on this agenda item may come forward this time. Please come forward, state your name and your address for the record. Good evening to you all.
Hello, I'm Philip Winstead. I live at 413 Brook Drive, Danville. I represent St. Luke's United Methodist Church. We have a fabulous children's wing that has been underused, and I need your approval to allow a daycare facility. We've been in contact with Just Kids, an organization that's been here for about 35 years doing child care in the city, and they need to expand their facilities. And we're in contact with Rhonda from them to rent part of our facility to them.
Any questions? Anyone else? Thank you so much. Thank you for being here tonight. We're still in public hearing. Anyone else desire to speak on this agenda item may come forward at this time. Anyone else desire to speak on this agenda item may come forward at this time. Close the public hearing. Councilman Whittle? It's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion? Dr. Miller.
Yeah, I want to emphasize, they do have, I've toured that facility, and it is top-notch, first rate. And it just so happens, this is coincidental, I guess, on the way here, my daughter called me from Memphis. She was picking up our 16-month-old grandson at the daycare center, which is a church-based daycare. This is a problem many parents have. She works and her husband works, so they have to have child care services. And you need a good faith-based child care service, I believe. Nicholas is now 16 months old. He's the biggest kid in his class, believe it or not, and he's the only one that can't walk. Until this week, they've been working with him at the daycare center, and he took 10 steps today on his own. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please. I don't know how we can go forward after that, but Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
It takes 10 steps. That's how
10
you move
steps.
forward.
Dr. Miller, you threw us all off with that. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Consideration of a reduction of certain business license fees. I open the public hearing. Anyone desire to speak on this agenda item may come forward at this time. Anyone desire to speak on this agenda item may come forward at this time. I close the public hearing. Councilman Vogler is really excited about this.
I am. Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance amending and reordaining Section 20-8 entitled Fee, Tax on Gross Receipts of Article 1 entitled Business Licenses of Chapter 20 entitled Licenses of the Code of the City of Danville, 1986, as amended.
Second by Vice Mayor. Discussion of the motion. Councilman Vogler.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank everybody on council and staff for how quickly this was able to get on the agenda and vote on it. We came back from VML. I brought this up at the meeting right after that, and less than a month later, we're here tonight voting on it. And this is going to positively impact 1,600 small businesses in our city. 1,600 small businesses are going to have this fee eliminated. And of course, we're talking about brick and mortar businesses, but we're talking about hairdressers, photographers, real estate agents, a number of people. And I've heard from a lot of them already, glad that council is moving on this. And so, again, I want to thank staff and I want to thank council for how quickly this got done. And I think, I talk about it a lot, but we have a great team. And here's another example.
Thank you. Our Commissioner of Revenue is here, Jimmy Gillies. Please stand. Let's give him and his staff a hand for moving on through this. Thank you, Jimmy. Councilman Wheeler, you had a comment?
I did. I was just curious how we help the other businesses in town with the same thing.
That's good. Well, our commissioner's here, and we'll just network and get together. Anyone else? Anyone else? Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
I just, before this meeting, I actually consulted with our attorney to make sure. I own a small business, and I was a little reluctant to vote one way or the other because I thought it might be a conflict of interest. But he assures me it is not, because this is a citywide thing. So I'm free to vote yes.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Include the rest of the people, Gary.
We can work on that next, Madison.
We're only voting on this tonight, though.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Before I vote, Mr. Turner, I need you to speak into that microphone because I'm with Dr. Miller. I also own a small business, and I was about to abstain. Do I need to abstain?
No, because this affects the general public, just like a property tax.
Thank you for that clarity. Aye. Under item D, consideration of offering free bus service for November general election days. Councilman Vogler.
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution authorizing the Danville Transit System to offer free bus service in the future when November general elections occur.
Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion. I have a discussion. Mr. Larkin, does this only mean the November elections? Oh, here's Mark. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I had a lot of dramatic pauses tonight, man.
Mark Eidelman must have talked about those 10 steps that Dr. Miller's grandbaby. Dr. Miller, back to you. Mark walked 10 steps and said, yes, Dr. Miller.
We've been doing this for years. Year by year, we've been forgiving the fees each time, so this is just a vote to just make it permanent.
Great. Anyone else?
Question.
Madison?
So, each year I don't think we've been able to hit all the neighborhoods that need to be hit. So I want to know if that's what's going to be part of the package that we're putting together tonight.
In other words, the transportation going to continue to go through all the neighborhoods?
Yes, sir. I think it's been different ones before, and sometimes we could get them, and sometimes we could not. So I just wanted to see if we're is it the same?
It's just the
route?
regular bus route service that
Okay.
waives the fees for that, so anything that would occur on that day.
Okay.
I believe it's fixed route for sure, but is it also reserve a ride as well? So you'd have to actually make a reservation, though.
So I did in the last election too. Did we get them all? I just thought there was a snafu and maybe it was COVID, but if we're voting something in to stay, let's make sure we're gonna.
We're just limited by our resources. So we're only limited by our resources. So if there's once we run out of drivers and buses, then we can't serve anymore if it's full. So that's the.
We don't run out of drivers and services during the regular day. So if it's a regular service, then we should be able to take care of everybody.
We'd take care of, on the fixed route service, of course, if the bus is full, you can't put any more people in it, but it really depends on demand. So, and the reserve a ride, there's only a certain number of trips that can be made in any given day. So if all the reservations are taken, then you can't do more than that. But I'm not sure, Mark, if you know if we exceeded our capacity last year or not.
Take 10 more steps, Mark.
In preparation for a question like this, we looked into it. 2020, our fixed route ridership jumped over 32% compared to the previous day and the subsequent day after the election. However, the reverse occurred in 2021. Demand actually reduced 20% compared to the previous day and the subsequent day. So, as Ken mentioned, it's based on demand, how ridership activity will occur. But interesting, if you take a look, we also looked at early voting. Early voting was more than double during 2020 compared to 2021. So ridership activity is going to be influenced by the election, who's running, and what's on the agenda. Referendum for casinos is going to generate a lot of interest, and ridership will increase as a result as well.
Good.
Thank you, that we're going to run on the best capacity that we have.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mark. 10 steps back. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell. Mr. Hood.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Consideration of new standards added to the Public Utility Regulatory Policies Act of 1978. Councilman Butler.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve a resolution directing Danville Utilities to initiate consideration of new federal utility standards in accordance with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021.
Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion.
Yeah, I got a question.
Councilman Whittle. Jason, you may want to come forward and take you 10 steps. I'm going to count them, too. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Let me just get to it, Jason. The federal standards that are coming down now are options or are they mandates?
This particular one is just a consideration for us to start the process to receive public input. So this is a year-long process that we have to come back in a year from now and say, yes, our ratepayers are in favor of this, or no, they're not, and these are the reasons why. So this is just the clock starting that consideration process of these two mandates, or these two requirements that we have to consider.
So it says we were a little ahead of the game.
We have to have city council approval to start the process by November 15th of this year.
And so what kind of stress does that put on the electric department financially?
It doesn't. We just go through the public input process over the next year. We come back to this council here, and these are our findings, these are our recommendations, and council approves or denies the resolution, and we reply back to the federal government of our findings in the resolution that city council passes. So these are not requirements, but these are items that we are supposed to consider. We have to consider them.
Okay,
that's the only requirement right now.
Again, and that's what it was saying. It was Regulatory Policies Act of 78, the standards that the city is required to start considering by November 15th, which either you're required to do it or not, but we
just have to start the clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell. Mr. Hood.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Mayo.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Consideration rescinding and repealing resolution number 2022-0702, approving a moral obligation agreement. Councilman Buckner.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a resolution rescinding and repealing resolution number 2022-07-02, which approved a moral obligation agreement by and between the City of Danville, Virginia and American National Bank and Trust Company.
Is there a second? Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Sure. Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell. Mr. Hood.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Mayo.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Consideration of approval of a moral obligation between the City of Danville and American National Bank. Councilman Buckner.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve and authorizing the execution of a moral obligation agreement by and between the City of Danville, Virginia, and American National Bank and Trust Company.
Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion.
Yeah, I want to ask Ken. So it said it started off at 25 million. It moved to another 2.5 million that the taxpayer plugged in, from what I just read.
The loan is for 21 million. So the previous moral obligation was for 26 million. This one is for 21 million. There are some requirements for the loan that in order to receive the funds, including having $2.65 million pledged in an account at American National Bank that could be used to stabilize the loan if necessary, but that gets back, that's returned back to the IDA.
Over time?
Yes, once the loan
Or was
has
it a 10-year period that they were asking for, so it,
or when the project is stabilized, so when there's sufficient tenants and it's not, or if all the payments have been made.
I think we're a damn good client for American National that they shouldn't hold $2.5 million of the taxpayers' money.
It'll be in our account, so interest bearing in our account, but it would be reserved, so we couldn't use it.
So this is just a moral obligation. This is not locking us into anything yet at this point.
This is the city council adopting a moral obligation to let the bank know that it will provide sufficient revenues to cover the debt service payments necessary to proceed with the project.
It's after we get all our performance agreements and everything else packaged up. But until then, we're not plugged in.
Yeah, there are no legal agreements in place right now because the IDA has not approved anything yet.
Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Under item H, consideration of accepting Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act funding. Councilman Vogler.
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution of intent that the city of Danville will accept funding and serve high-risk local youth involved with the Court Services Unit through the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act program.
Second by Councilman Buckner. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mr. Hood?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Mayo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Back to you, Councilman Vogler.
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2023 budget appropriation ordinance for a grant from the Department of Juvenile Justice in the amount of $86,999 and a local share of $39,830 for a total appropriation of $126,829 to provide for the electronic monitoring and outreach detention programs, youth gang violence prevention programs, and online intervention programs for the city of Danville at W.W. Moore Jr. Detention Home and appropriating same. First reading.
Second by Councilman Buckner. First reading. Consideration of amending the fiscal year 2023 budget appropriation ordinance for grant funds related to food services operations at W.W. Moore Jr. Detention Home. Councilman Buckner.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion we approve an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2023 budget appropriation ordinance for a federal grant in the amount of approximately $31,746 to aid the food service operations at W.W. Moore Detention Home and appropriating the same. First reading.
Second by Councilman Mayo. First reading. Consideration of amending the fiscal year 2023 budget appropriation ordinance for U.S. Department of Justice Community Policy and Development Policing Development Program grant. Councilman Vogler.
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2023 budget appropriation ordinance by increasing revenue from the United States Department of Justice Community Policing Development Program grant in the amount of $106,554 for use in conducting a comprehensive case study to understand the Danville Police Department's success in decreasing crime and improving community collaboration and trust.
Second by Councilman Buckner. First reading. Communications, City Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of things to remind council. On November 12th at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, there's a joint city council school board work session. We haven't determined the start time, but it will likely be breakfast and hopefully be done by lunch or before. So that's November 12th, a joint meeting of city council and the school board. And then on November 29th at 5:30, there's a meeting with the Danville Lifesaving Crew. It'll be at their training center. And it's November 29th at 5:30.
Council, I've asked the city manager for each of you to submit items, if any, that you would like to discuss at the retreat for the facilitator with our joint meeting. So please get that information as soon as possible to the city manager. Thank you so much, city manager. City attorney, anything?
I don't have any comments.
Thank you so much. City clerk?
Sir?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hood?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes, again, I just want to I can't think enough for the job and resource fair that happened today, and for all the citizens as well as the attendees that came out and even canceled. And we had even local and state officers that come out. We want to thank you for that. It still goes on. We still are in the business of helping others, and we just want to encourage all the citizens that, even though if you didn't make it out there, we are still here for you. Please get in touch with us and let us know about that. And Mayor, I also wanted to say about Saturday shooting at the mall. It definitely is a hurtful thing to see anything like that happen. We still have to continue to just push that effort to denounce shootings, talk to these youth. Parents, if you're listening, talk to them. Let them know that the weapon is not the way to go. And it just bothered me dearly that I couldn't sleep because of that. So we have to continue to just push that forward and just work at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Yeah, I want to piggyback off that, Councilman Mayo, and I've talked about this before. It's tragic. Back in the day, if somebody disrespected you, you had a fist fight or punch them in the nose, and then you went out and had a drink together, or you made up. Now somebody pulls a gun, and that can be final, and a young man is dead, and all the potential, his impact on the future, his children, it's gone. So, we've got to do something to keep our young people from resorting to violence like this over an argument. Last week, we had a great ribbon cutting. DeLorean Power was here, and I know you all have heard about this, the battery storage project, but the cost of power is going up, and it will continue to climb. The world situation and power companies' record profits will dictate that. So I want to thank Jason Gray, the utilities group, the city manager, DeLorean, city council, for coming up with at least a solution to try to mitigate these rises. You're all familiar with the peak power usage warnings, and you're cautioned in the hottest day of summer and the coldest day of winter to cut back on your power usage. Why? Well, the middleman that controls transmission charges, which is going up about 15% a year, is Appalachian Power. They control the lines. So we buy power elsewhere, but they add a carrying charge, if you will. And if we can, and they predicate it on the hottest or the coldest day of the year, not the average over 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the hottest or the coldest. So obviously, it's going to be the highest usage of the year is what we're going to pay rates on. This shaves off that peak and provides power for several hours to several thousand homes. It doesn't take over power for the whole city, but it cuts that usage down. And if we don't hit the right day, if we don't hit the coldest day, we can recharge overnight. We can do it again tomorrow. So this is going to result in about $1 million a year savings in transmission charges. So City Council feels your pain. We pay high charges too. So I want to commend all the parties I mentioned about doing this. The couple of people in the audience, I'm going to embarrass somebody. Jamie Bethel came in. She works in the emergency room. She's interested in setting up a transport service to help transport patients from different doctor's offices and so forth. I just want to let you know it's a citizen coming forth. She sees a need. She's in the emergency room every day, and a need to transport people, not emergency transport so much, but to doctor's offices, to nursing home, to the doctor's office, not emergent transport. So we thank you for coming. That's a citizen coming forth with a business, a small business. So we applaud her efforts. Tommy Bennett's here. Tommy's here every meeting. It's premature to say anything about his birthday, but I understand there's an upcoming roast planned in the middle of this month. We'll tell you more about that when it happens. And finally, please get out and vote next week, next Tuesday, November 8th. I've done mission trips in Central America, and I remember I was in Honduras once, and they were having an election. And I found out that 94% of the citizens vote. They don't have guns pointed to their head. They didn't have to vote, but they want to vote. 94%. We don't even come close to that. We get 65 or 70. We consider it a huge success. So please, people have died in the past. People have suffered, been beaten to get that right. So please, each of you, get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Saunders?
Nothing, Mayor.
Vogler?
Yes, first, I just want to start by offering my thoughts and prayers, and they have been in my thoughts and prayers. Both families that were impacted by what happened on Saturday. It's extremely tragic, as has already been mentioned. For one young man to lose his life, and another, to essentially throw away his life as well. It's incredibly sad. But I want to make sure that we don't lose focus, because I read things and I'm seeing things, and I don't want this very unfortunate thing to happen to diminish the great work that is being done by our police department, by the folks with Project Imagine. They've had 84 graduates through this program, I believe, so far, and the vast majority of which this has been extremely successful and positive impact on those lives. So, again, we've got work to do. We're not where we want to be. Until there's zero shootings and there's zero crime of any kind, we have work to do, right? But I think it is important to remember that last year we hit a 30-year low in violent crime. So we are making progress, but we still have work to do. Transition into a more uplifting thing. I got this letter recently, and I don't normally do something like this, but I wanted to read it tonight because it touched me, and I think it's a great story, and I want to read it real quick if y'all will permit me. It was from Mr. Smith, who grew up in the Almagro community, and so I'm going to read this letter that he gave to me. Growing up in the Almagro community was like a city within a city. We had all of the amenities in the community at our disposal. We had schools, churches, hospitals, grocery stores, post office, gas stations, a ballpark, Masonic Lodge, and Almagro Community Center. At 127 Broadneck Street, I used to sit on our front porch and watch the drum and bugle corps march up and down the street en route to Peters Park to perform. We even had a bird's eye view of the ambulances speeding by our house to take people to Winslow Hospital. We had a lot of professional people in the community: teachers, preachers, doctors, electricians, plumbers, contractors, athletes, and even a judge. Everybody was like family, and we stuck together. We had a total of 10 grocery stores in the community. My favorite pastime was watching the baseball games at Peters Park. Sometimes we would sit on the wall and watch for free until Moose Bethel spotted us and ran us off. I had some good times down at the ballpark. I would like to pay homage to all the teachers, preachers, contractors, doctors, judges, electricians, plumbers, athletes who made an impact on my life. There are a lot of great and dynamic people that came from out of Almagro. I am proud to have grown up in Almagro, born and raised. And that's from Mr. Smith, who dropped this off at my office. And so I wanted to read that tonight because, again, I think, first of all, it speaks to the strength of that community, but I think it ties into something larger that I hope we can all keep in mind. That I think sometimes we look at a problem like crime, or we look at a problem like poverty, or we look at a problem like blight, and we look at it in these big lens of, and it becomes overwhelming at times. But if each one of us would do something to strengthen our own neighborhood or even our own street, the impact that could have on our city as a whole, that if each community did something to uplift that community, then our city as a whole would prosper in such an amazing way. So I wanted to read that. And then in closing tonight, I just want to say something that I touched on again earlier, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's true, and I feel blessed to be a part of it. But this team up here is top-notch, and this team up here In the 10 years that I've been on city council, this is the best council we've had, the one we have right now. And I'm very grateful to be able to work with you guys. We work so well together. And, you know, if you watch the news or you read the news, that's not always the case in other elected bodies. But we're very fortunate to have a council that even when we disagree, we work together in a constructive way to come forward with solutions. And it's an active council, you know. I could reel off a ton of things that this council's done over the last several years, but in the interest of time, I won't. But I'll close with this again. This is a great city council, and I'm honored to work with each of you. And lastly, I hope everybody votes next Tuesday. Thank you.
Mr. Whittle?
Yeah, thank you. Councilman Vogel did. I'd like to go ahead and see if we can get that 4 cents a hundred reduction on our real estate taxes and see if we can get it maybe on the business session tonight and push it through by the next meeting. And this one went awfully smoothly, so maybe we can put that on the agenda, the business session tonight.
Actually, the business section is over. That's why we're in comments. The business section is over.
We didn't go into we're not moving.
You can discuss it in the work session.
Oh, okay. Well, then can we discuss it in the work session?
I believe council can bring up anything it would like.
Fantastic. Thank you. You know, this councilman does not. We don't defund our police department. We back them up. The rest of our departments, we back them up. And I think that has got, and this council works cohesively. So we work together. Yes, we're going to have a few problems, but we've come a long way. And I thank the staff. I thank all our police, fire, and rescue. And even Ken, he does a good job too. Earl and the rest of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Buckner?
Yeah, $1,132,525,000 in new investment since 2018. 6 expansions of existing companies and 20 new companies have chosen to locate here in Danville. That's a total of over 3,922 new jobs since this council was elected in 2018. This is why you guys know this. Anytime we go anywhere out of town, your phones ring, we get asked from municipalities, counties, all over the state, how we're doing it. How are we able to achieve the things that we're able to achieve? And the answer is very simple. It's teamwork. Teamwork. Next Tuesday, I hope all you guys will get out and vote. You have 4 votes. I'm in full campaign mode, Mayor. I'm sorry. I would love one of those 4 votes next Tuesday to continue the great work that this team has done and will continue to do. Thank you, Mayor.
Reverend Campbell? Mayor Jones?
I just want to thank those of you who are in attendance tonight. Thank you all so much for being here, all the reports, those of you who are visiting. I want to talk about some positivity about young people. Are there any Tunstall students here tonight? Tunstall students here tonight? If you are, stand. I see you. Stand. Tunstall, stand. Let's give them a big hand. They hiding. I want you all to know that I was in your neighborhood. You all always come to us. And last Saturday, I was in the county. I was invited to Laurel Grove for a youth summit. And then I Pastor Past and Mildred Richardson and the entire team and staff of Laurel Grove Church. And I want to tell you all, we had an amazing time out there with a number of young people. Tell you about some of my experiences because I experienced a lot of positivity with our young people. When I arrived in you all's community in Pittsylvania County, I saw the superintendent, and I saw the superintendent from Danville Public Schools, the superintendent from Pittsylvania County Schools. So young people, when I arrived, I absolutely arrived, and I walked into one of the facilitators. She happens to be here tonight, Casey Cunningham. And Casey Cunningham was a facilitator, Mr. Bowman was a facilitator, Sean Farmer, and myself were all facilitators. Casey Cunningham told me, I need to know what you're going to be saying to the kids because you're not going to be embarrassing us here in Danville, Virginia. I said, really? And they had all of this stuff, Sue. They had all of these boards in Madison. They had all this stuff. I had nothing. I didn't have anything but my cell phone. See, and I believe I was the best facilitator of young people that they had there. But again, I want to thank you all so much for being here and all the young people, Miss Richardson, and everything that they've done out there. And Casey, great job to you. There's a young lady here. Casey, if you can send your daughter here, can you send your daughter up here, please? I saw a young, is she still here? Come to me, please. You've heard so much a few minutes ago, and Councilman Vogler, Councilman, different of the council members. Let her stand right there. I want people to see her. A few minutes ago, you all didn't have a chance to, well, come on up here then. Come on up here. Come on up here. Well, you all should have clapped right there. I am so thankful that you're here tonight because we heard a lot about the transitioning of our city, and we heard a lot about what our city is doing. And I want to thank you so much for being here tonight because Councilman Vogler was very passionate. Councilman Mayo had this job fair, and all of these people out here. So I want you to tell them earlier, where were you sitting at when they all took a picture? Tell them.
Right here.
She was sitting in the mayor's seat because she said this is where she wants to be. This is where she wanted to be. And so I say that to say this. I want to piggyback off Councilman Whittle. We're going to run into some challenges at times in our city, but let's not forget about the ultimate goal. Let's not forget about the ultimate goal. Here is the ultimate goal right here. And to Goodwill, ma'am, please stand up, Ms. Her. Thank you for what you're doing for our youth. Casey, stand up, and Kelly. Kelly, stand up, Casey. Kelly, they hard. Kelly, thank you for what you're doing for our young people. Cynthia, will you and your friends stand up, please? Thank you for what you're doing for our young. Miss Harrison, you and the lady stand up. Thank Miss Harrison, Deborah Harrison. I don't know why I'm repeating myself. These are persons who are working with our youth. Mr. Please, Winstead, stand up, please. He stated a few minutes ago, what did he say about daycare? We are for the youth.
Yep.
Tommy Bennett, stand up. We get calls all day long. Thank you for what you're doing for our youth. This is what, I ain't told y'all to sit down yet, but you can sit down, you can sit down. But when you hear all this negative stuff that's happening in our community, it's gonna happen. But can you all do me a favor? I don't ask for much. We don't get paid much. Could you all help us to promote the positive in our community? Can you help us do that? I don't know if you heard Councilman Vogler, but he was disheartened. And I know why he was disheartened. He was disheartened because of the negativity. When something bad happens, it grows. But look at the good. Now let's see how this grows.
Right.
Let's see how this grows.
Absolutely.
Let's see how this grows. A young lady that was here tonight and says she wants to be the mayor. Let's see how it grows. And I'll close with this. Did you hear Dr. Miller talking about 10 steps earlier? That's Dr. Miller right there, Vice Mayor. See him with the blue? He was talking about 10 steps.
Yeah.
You can take 10 steps right back there to your mother.
Big steps.
To the council members, I have to ditto what everyone has said. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for you. As the mayor of this city, I am thankful for you. I couldn't do it without you guys. I can't. This seat carries a whole lot of weight, and we call him the General, Sherman Saunders. We call him the General. Sir, I thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It means a lot to me. Brian Hood and I was together last week, and Brian publicly told individuals his respect for me, and I thank you. And I have the same here. Dr. Miller called me today, and we had a long conversation. He kind of smacked my hand earlier. He said, you did something, don't do it again at the last meeting. And we laugh about it. And Madison, I just can't thank you enough. I really am sincere. I can't thank you enough. Your calls, your texts, your support. I appreciate you, brother. I really do. Lee, No, hold on, I'm gonna say you for last. But Barry oftentimes tell people, Madam Sir, Madam Ma'am, Madam Sir, Madam Ma'am, but it's great to have someone who has the passion from the community like we all do. And Councilman Buckner, we talk how many times a week? We start off early in the morning.
We're up before most people.
Before most people. And back to Lee. A lot of times Mark Aaron and Arnold do such a great job with everything that they do. Mark Aaron was out there today. Arnold does his thing. But sometimes Lee want to do their job. But let me tell you why he does it. I remember him, Sherman, we remember him as a young person that came on council, just eager beaver. And we watched him. He was just all over the place. But one of the things that I loved about it is the love that you have for this community. Not only the love that you have for this community, the love you have for your children. You will not see him without his children. So to each and every one of you, to the city manager, not only is he, I don't know if we're supposed to be friends, but unfortunately we are. To everyone, at our last meeting, I'm about to close, at our last meeting, Clark Whitfield, who's not with us tonight, told us about the wonderful presentation that Alan Spencer did representing our city. Alan, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Sue is our secretary, and I say all of this to say I had a meeting with a friend of mine this week. And Sherman, the friend of mine who's very dear to me, really touched my heart, and he told me he was sick. And we sat in there, and I looked across at his face as he was talking. I kept saying to myself, Madison, I'm glad I appreciate you every day. And he said something that really, I couldn't sleep last night. He said, I don't think I'm going to be here next year. He said, that's how sick I am. And I didn't evaluate what he said. I evaluated, what am I doing for this person that's in my life? And if I'm not doing enough, I'm going to do more. I say all that to say this: cherish the people that are in your life. Love them. You don't know the hour of the day. You don't know what they're going through. And I would tell you this as I close. If you focus on persons like that young lady that was in this chair a few minutes ago and stop entertaining that nonsense. Councilman Hood and I had an opportunity. We received a question and someone asked us, what are your feelings about social media? And I gave them my feelings about social media. But let's just see what happens when tonight at City Council, as we promote these young people who wants to be mayor, who are doing great things. These young people are traveling to us from Tunstall, from Pennsylvania County to Danville. The number of young people, Casey's back there, the number of young people that came out on a Saturday at Laurel Grove, Madison, it was packed. The events, everything was phenomenal, but we don't hear about that. And if you notice, I haven't said anything about an incident that was bad, and I won't. This meeting is adjourned.